and it was all good. And this week, this month, as a matter of fact, is dedicated to matters of the heart, beginning with the love of God. And for those of you who read the opening of the newsletter, I shared that I have people in my life who had advised me that my priorities in these things might be to first cultivate my relationship with God, to second cultivate my relationship with myself, and to third cultivate my relationship with other people. We've heard that in many different forms, this idea that in order to have something whole to share and to give, we need to start at the center and move outward from there in that order. So I decided that what I was going to do was begin by looking at the love of God this week. And next week we're going to be looking at our love of self. And the following week we're going to be talking about our relationships with others. And we're going to end it up with this concept of local and global family. What Celia read just now was an excerpt, or rather a sampling of a book. I almost brought it with me. It's translations by Stephen Mitchell, and they're all enlightened poems. I think I might need to have someone adjust that door a little bit so it's like really closed, which is tricky. Thank you. So all of the poems by Stephen Mitchell about God in this particular book, and I think it might be called The Enlightened Soul, I'm not sure. Each one of them, rather than being a poem of longing or pain or any of those that are sometimes written about this relationship, these are all of personal relationship, of rapture, of joy, of communion, and coming back and attempting to put some of that into words. So the first one that I wanted to share with you, or rather the one that I wanted to share with you that I based my talk on this morning, comes from Dante. The love of God, unutterable and perfect, flows into a pure soul, the way that light rushes into a transparent object. The more love that it finds, the more it gives itself. So that as we grow clear and open, the more complete the joy of heaven is. And the more souls who resonate together, the greater the intensity of their love. And, mirror-like, each soul reflects the other. Isn't that wonderful? Each soul reflects the other. So the love of God can't be expressed in a word. The identity of God can't be expressed in a word. There are some teachings that make it a rule, if you will, that should never even be attempted. Indeed, all of our words sort of indicate the general whereabouts of an idea or a feeling, but none of them can truly communicate it fully. All of God, all of Spirit Creator, the I Am principle, whatever you choose to call that feels right to you, is in everything and every one of us, and yet it cannot be contained within any one of its creations because it is infinite. So you could say it's in every one of us and we're in it and it's infinite. So any word that we use will not ever contain it. And every form that it creates contains it. That's a spiritual axiom, if you will. It's also perfect. It is something that needs nothing to be added to nor taken away from it. And even our best attempt to do either of those things would not be successful because it is immutable. It is unchangeable. It's impossible to alter that. And there's no need to do it. This love of God flows through us when and as and to the degree that we are clear and open, that we are transparent and pure. And to the degree that we have some sort of foggy or murkiness or blockage or obstruction, we could say that it just doesn't move through us in that way. And yet, because it is something that cannot be altered, it actually does. Just perhaps more slowly. Just like water or wind has its way even with a boulder over time. Where we are pure and transparent and where we are clear and open, that flow increases. Because we have opened out a way for that flow of love to move through us. Two beautiful things happen when we entertain the flow of love, of life energy in any form. One is that we, as those conduits, those channels, those ones who have opened up and agreed to allow it to move through us, are nourished in the flow. We are nourished being the conduits or the transporters or the avenues through which that love flows. So even if we're saying that we're going to put our love over there in that basket, in the process of doing that, we are loved. Love loves us along the way. If you can imagine that just like your blood flows through your veins in your body from one place to another, and guided by the beating of your heart, which is attuned with the heartbeat of all creation. You're not only nourishing every organ and system that it reaches, bringing everything necessary for vitality, but the veins, the corpuscles, the arteries, every aspect along the way is also being nourished. So when we give love, when we are conduits for love, when we are channels for love, when we are open to love moving through us, there's something that happens to us and for us. It is a restoration. It is a renewal. It is a return to our original wholeness, out of which all good, health, harmony, well-being, creative self-expression, and joy come. The other of the two things that happens when we are conduits for love is that the same thing happens for the object of our love. The arrival point, if you will. If we go back to the anatomical analogy, every recipient of that blood carrying all of that oxygen and all of those nutrients gets what it needs to be whole and complete for another moment or another day, another cycle, whatever that is made stronger and more whole and beautiful because of it. There's an interesting thing that also happens that's part of this poetry here. And it has to do with what is created or loved up out there. And the more souls who resonate together, the greater the intensity of their love. I'm going to find it because I want to share this part. The more clear and open, the more complete our joy of heaven is. And I can't find it, so I'll just tell you. Everything seemingly out there that is a recipient of our love, of our response to that creative urge, of our response to that impulse to give life, to embody and to express love, is something else. It is a reflection back to us of what that love looks like in form. It is a reflection back to us of what that love sounds like, maybe what it smells like, what it feels like, what it tastes like. It is a tangible reflection, an embodiment of that love that we can relate to, that we can experience in a way that cannot be experienced in singularity. This could be, for example, the choice to give birth to and raise a child. It could be the choice to create a menu and gather up all of the things necessary and to prepare them for a beautiful meal and to share it. It could be the choice to gather up ideas and assemble them in a book and to publish that and share it. It could be any creative act. It might be the decision to clean the house or rearrange the furniture. But the outcome of saying yes to that, whatever that thing is, reflects back to us in tangible, relatable form what that love looks like when we see it that way, when we choose to say yes to it in that way. A beautiful, profound thing about arriving at this point is that the same experience that we're describing right now for ourselves is the one that Spirit has creating us. Some of you have taken a Thomas Troward class with us, and that was a real mind bender and worth the journey. It's one place in which a person can learn that Spirit created everything out of itself, out of self-contemplation. Originally, there was just one, no thing, all possibility, nothing particularized, nothing realized. And then when the idea came, I wonder what it would be like to have someone to relate to. And in the book, it's referred to as a friend. Something happened. Now, this is just one tale of how this all happened. Scientists tell it one way, artists another, theologians another, and so on ad infinitum. But in that idea of what would it be like to have someone, one of me, one like me, to relate to and to play with, something happened. So what if not only we are created out of love and by love for the purpose of embodying and expressing and experiencing love in two-ness rather than solitary singularity. We were also created to have the same capacity to identify and urge and to wonder something and to have it give rise to, if we say yes to it, some sort of creative process, some sort of outcome that's tangible that we can relate to. Isn't that beautiful? What if it's your child? What if it's your garden? What if it's your foundation? What if it's your school? What if it's your book? What if it's your, your home? Any one of those times, we are responding to love and saying yes to love and allowing love to move through us and create something as an extension of it. And the extension is beautiful in itself and reflects back to us a type of love we would never have known if not for that experience. And in the process of it, it fills us up and nourishes us and renews us in a way that we never would have known either. So Dante goes on to say, the more souls who resonate together, the greater intensity of their love. And mirror-like, each soul reflects the other. So we have this idea that where we came from is from the love of God. Loving itself into being. And then having the experience of loving itself as other. An illusion, but a delicious one. And then each of us as others imbued with the same qualities and capacities. Love beings into being. We love things into being. We love ideas into being. And there they are to reflect back to us the very nature of that love in a way that is tangible to the senses and to the soul. It's exquisite. It's exquisite. There's so much more to this teaching than just change your thinking, change your life. Because it isn't until a thought passes from the head down into the heart, until it becomes a feeling and sets energy in motion as an emotion, that the creative process begins. So you really can't do the science of mind without the heart. When people run around and just try to affirm things away, it doesn't work. Because the love of God is not involved in that process. But when we allow the love of God to move through us, when we are more clear and open, when we are pure and transparent, there's no limit to how much of that can move through us and to what it can produce. So if that's the case, what does it mean to be clear and open? That sounds lovely. But what does that mean? What does that mean to us to be clear and open? Many of us have been in different study groups and classes throughout the past couple of weeks, and these conversations are again bleeding into one another. Our studies and our reflections are all woven together in this sort of group revelation. This realization that maybe unconsciously we have been less clear, less pure, less transparent, less open to the love of God than we might have thought we were. And last week I invited people to consider what they're thinking and feeling, almost unconsciously, under the level of what you think you're thinking and feeling. And I invite you to do that again when you leave here today. Because it's possible that in terms also of the love of God, that somehow you have agreed to think less of all that is, of what is possible. Maybe you thought a great deal more about the apparent distance between where you are and all of that. Maybe you have somehow come to believe that that's really wonderful, but that's not what's happening in your neck of the woods. Maybe you've somehow unconsciously accepted an idea that you're different, that this love isn't for you, that it's conditional, and you blew it. What if that's not true? What if maybe all of us have taken on imprints and ideas from our early lives that are less than open, less than transparent, less than pure, less than clear about us and our relationship to the love of God? What a perfect opportunity today is, this month is, right now is, to say, what is my relationship with the love of God? And this is one place where if G-O-D doesn't come out of your mouth or fit in it very well, that's okay. You might say the I am principle, the absolute, the all that is, life, light, or just say love. Whatever you choose to call it, I invite you to consider the possibility that you haven't been allowing yourself to let love move through you and give to you and give to the world by means of you all that it has. How do I know? It is infinite. And we are temporal. So there must be more. There must be more that is ready to be experienced and birthed by means of you. I'm going to close by reading this poem again. I invite you to just take these words in. The love of God, unutterable and perfect, flows into a pure soul the way that light rushes into a transparent object. The more love that it finds, the more it gives itself. So that as we grow clear and open, the more complete the joy of heaven is. And the more souls who resonate together, the greater the intensity of their love. And mirror-like, each soul reflects the other. And so we move into this closure of this sharing of ideas together, affirming aloud. There is only one love, one life. It is all God, it is all good. And we are one with it. All that it is and all that it has is ours to say yes to. That is the only requirement, our agreement. There is no limit to what it has to give, what it can do and will do and does do for us. Nor any limit to what it is as us, in us, through us, and all around us. And so I affirm that we collectively say yes to this gift, letting it rush in and fill us up to overflowing with so much good. We cannot contain it. With inspiration and new ideas, and dusted off old ideas and dreams which are still at the ready to be embodied, to be expressed, and to be experienced. All arrives in the perfect time, and I know that this is that time for each of us to live in wholeness, holiness, health, well-being, joy. And for all that we touch, all that we contact, all that we co-create, to be that as well. There is more than enough for everyone to have, to use, and to share. And so in gratitude for this, I simply say yes. And together as we open our eyes, we say, and so it is.